Drawing on a digital whiteboard can be one of the most effective ways to teach a subject online. In this tutorial, I will show you how to set up your own digital whiteboard so you can share your knowledge with the world. Aside from legible handwriting and some basic drawing skills, to draw on a digital whiteboard, you will need the following: a computer, a screen recording application, a drawing tablet, art software, video editing software, and maybe a few optional tools. At first, that may sound like an expensive setup, but you may already have some of this gear. Plus, I'll suggest some free software you can use. My goal is to keep this setup as inexpensive as possible, while also presenting the best options for those who have more to invest. I'll go into each of these components separately, but first, let's just look at an overview of this setup and how it can be used. I'll draw on my digital whiteboard to create a diagram of my setup. Here's my computer, which the drawing tablet is connected to. When I draw, the marks appear inside of my digital art application and are captured by the screen recording software. If I choose to narrate while I'm demonstrating, I can record my voice with a microphone, though you could also record your narration separately later if that works better. And by adding a camera pointed at my face, I can speak directly to the viewer. Once I have completed my demonstration video or videos, I'll produce a finished tutorial using my video editing software and then upload it to YouTube or sell it as a course. Let's begin by taking an in-depth look at each component of the digital whiteboard setup. First is the computer. Your computer doesn't have to be especially powerful, just capable enough to run a simple art application and record your screen. However, depending on the complexity of what you want to record, you may benefit from a high-end computer with a powerful GPU. If you will only be recording your screen, then maybe something like a Chromebook would be enough for your needs. But if you plan to add multiple cameras and record audio, you'll need a more powerful desktop or laptop that can accommodate the necessary connections and process that much information. I have an article on my website I will link you to if you're interested in what specs are required to build a high-end computer for creating tutorials. Next, you will need software that can record your screen. Fortunately, there are many free options. What you want is something that can record 1080p videos in MP4 format. This will make it easier to edit and post online. If you plan to record narration, your recording software needs to support that too. If you're using Mac or Chromebook, there are built-in options that can record your screen, but the features offered will be very limited. On Windows, an excellent free option is OBS Studio. This is a live streaming application, but it's also useful for recording your screen. It's by far the most advanced option, and I would highly recommend it. The only downside is that OBS can feel a little technical to set up and use, but it's worth learning because you can do pretty much anything you want with it. It's like having your own TV studio. I have a tutorial that will walk you through setting it up. There are also paid applications you can use if you want a more simplified interface, such as Bandicam. I used Camtasia in the past, but it had some severe crashing problems, which made it extremely difficult to work with, so I wouldn't recommend that one. My choice of screen recording applications is XSplit Broadcaster. This is a paid app that is very similar to OBS, but much more refined. A lifetime license isn't very expensive. I can even control my cameras, microphone, and recordings using buttons on my Stream Deck. This is entirely optional, but I just want to show you how cool this stuff is. I have a tutorial that describes how to set up a more advanced recording workstation like this if you're interested. If you're just starting out creating digital whiteboards, you don't need advanced gear like this, but it's something to work toward as you begin to have success with your content. If you end up creating content full-time, tools like this can greatly improve your workflow so you can spend more time creating and less time on tedious, repetitive tasks. Here's a tip for recording your digital whiteboard. If you want to cut down on how much editing you have to do later, try to record your audio and screen at the same time. If you make a mistake, continue with the recording and cut it out later. The next essential piece of gear for drawing on a digital whiteboard is the drawing input. Assuming you already have a computer, this is really the only necessary expense. You might be tempted to use your mouse, trackpad, or touchscreen to draw on a digital whiteboard, but that would be incredibly difficult, and your handwriting would look horrible no matter how much you practice. A tablet will not only feel the same as writing and drawing with a pen, but it can also sense how hard or light you're pressing, which means that your handwriting and annotations will look more natural. If you live somewhere where there are thrift stores, I see used drawing tablets there quite often. Usually they're missing the pen though, so you would need to locate a used pen online. The pens are often specific to each model, but some pens work on a range of devices. You'll also need the tablet drivers, which may or may not work with your computer or operating system, depending on the age difference between the drivers and computer. So it would be best to research a bit to see if the tablet is even compatible with your computer before buying it. If you can return it if it doesn't work, then it's worth trying a used tablet because it could save you a lot of money. If you can afford to buy a used or refurbished tablet online, then that would be the next best option since you'd get the tablet, pen, and drivers together. But again, make sure the drivers will work with your computer by doing a quick search for the tablet drivers. The older drivers may be located in an archive, but can usually be found. And the best option would be to buy a new tablet. That way you can ensure that the drivers are current and it will work with a modern computer. Regardless of which option you choose, I would only recommend a Wacom brand tablet. There are a lot of imitations out there, and I would stay away from those because you'll end up with imperfections in your lines or some other problem. The exception would be well-known brands like Samsung, which uses Wacom tech anyway, or Microsoft and Apple, which have decent pen technology. But even those aren't technically drawing tablets, and they will be more expensive and less effective than even a basic Wacom tablet if what you want to do is write and draw diagrams. If you don't want to buy a drawing tablet online, you can also find them at Best Buy and other retail stores that sell computer peripherals. The cheapest option for a new tablet would be the One by Wacom. It's as basic as it gets. All you need to do is plug it into a USB port and install the driver. There are two sizes, small and medium. I prefer to have more room to write and gesture, so I would highly recommend the medium. You don't want to record tutorials on a note card when you could be using a notepad. Even better would be the Wacom One, not to be confused with the One by Wacom. This tablet also plugs into your computer through USB, but it also has a built-in screen that you can write and draw directly onto. This feels much more natural. If you're able to afford a drawing tablet with a display, get one. It will be so much easier to draw and write on. Without a display to draw onto, you'll need to look up at your computer monitor while drawing on a separate surface. With time, you'll learn to do this as you've done with a mouse, but it's more difficult. There are display tablets and non-display tablets that are quite large, but if you're mostly writing and drawing simple diagrams, I don't see any advantage to the additional cost. If you might also want to try taking up digital art, or you want to do other things with your tablet, then it might make sense though. I'm using the Cintiq line that Wacom offers. This is the Cintiq 27 QHD Touch, which has a multi-touch I can use, as well as a very color-accurate screen. It's a workhorse, and I use it for everything. Another advantage to a larger screen like this would be that the higher display resolution will allow you to capture a 1080p section of your screen and keep all of your palettes outside of the recording area. Plus, with this tablet on a monitor arm or stand, you can alternate between writing with the tablet flat on the desk or elevated to a more vertical angle. This could prove to be more ergonomic if you're going to be using your tablet a lot. On my other channel, I have reviewed dozens of drawing tablets, so check out those videos if you're interested in learning more. In order to draw or write anything with your drawing tablet, you need art software. It's sort of like ink and paper. Fortunately, this component can be free, but there are also paid options I will mention. What you need to create a digital whiteboard is support for layers and brushes that are pressure sensitive. Some free options are Krita or GIMP, or there's Photoshop, which is a paid subscription. But most art applications are going to offer support for layers and drawing input. I'd lean toward an application that supports text and image manipulation like Photoshop because you'll have more control over your presentation. There are some really robust text formatting options, and if I need to edit photos, I can do that without having to switch to a different application. One feature that most art apps should have is brush stabilization. This makes your writing and drawing look smoother. This is important because drawing tablets are more sensitive to movement than a traditional pen or pencil, which may result in lines that look wobbly. You can add a bit of brush stabilization or smoothing to make the drawing input less sensitive. This does slow down the strokes a bit, which can create lag, so don't add too much or it will be impossible to write and draw. You may also need to adjust the sensitivity of your pen pressure to calibrate it to your touch. I press down really hard when I write and draw, so I set mine one notch toward firm. Do the opposite if you have a light touch. In addition to writing, text, images, and diagrams, you can also add other software into your recording like PowerPoint slides, spreadsheets, websites, and anything else you want to capture. I have loads of tutorials that can teach you how to use digital art software. Check out my other channels for those. The final tool you will need is some video editing software to turn your raw recordings into polished tutorials. Don't worry, if you're just starting out, you can keep things simple enough so that all you need to do is cut out silence and mistakes. There's a tool I use called Time Bolt that can automatically remove silence and mistakes, saving you loads of time. This is really the most tedious part of the editing process, so I highly recommend using this tool if you can afford it. The lifetime license is reasonably priced considering how much time it will save you. It also includes a basic screen recording tool, and you can render videos directly from Time Bolt. Some free options are the built-in video editors on Windows and Mac, or there is an open source application called Olive that looks promising. I use Premiere Pro to edit since it offers advanced options and industry standard tools. One feature that is essential is the ability to slow down or speed up video. This makes it easier to align narration with video footage, and you can use it to shorten really long clips. I'll also mention some optional gear that you may want to consider. While you can record audio with your built-in microphone on your laptop, I wouldn't recommend it. The audio will sound terrible. And even if your video looks amazing, people won't be able to tolerate it. If you're going to be recording audio to accompany your digital whiteboard presentation, it would be best to purchase an external microphone that can be connected to your computer. There are many microphones that can connect through USB. Rode makes some good options. Alternatively, you can purchase a USB audio interface like the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 and connect a standard XLR microphone to it, like this Audio-Technica AT4040. Microphones are a separate topic for another video, but a studio condenser mic like this, or a shotgun mic, work well for voiceovers. Dynamic mics are also okay, but you have to be very close to them. But if you are on a budget, you may have to make do with a lapel microphone or headset. Anything is going to be better than an internal mic. If the microphone does not come with a stand, you may need to pick that up too. I'm currently using the Rode NTG3, which is a really nice mic, but on the expensive side. The advantage to this type of shotgun microphone is that it reduces the amount of sound picked up by the sides and back of the microphone. This results in a less noisy, more professional sounding recording compared to many of the other options. You may also want to include video of yourself in the recording. You can use the built-in webcam in your laptop, but chances are that's going to be very low quality. Still, if you only plan to be in a small corner of the screen, that may suffice. However, if you want to record introductions or you want to be full screen a lot of the time, a quality camera will make your videos look a lot more professional. Even a USB webcam will be a big step up from your built-in webcam, so you might consider something like the Logitech Brio if a professional camera is out of your price range. And I know it's one more thing, but some decent lighting is required if you're going to be recording video. If you can't record in front of a window, then you will need to purchase some lights that are meant for recording. A ring light or a softbox light works well. There are even low-profile LED panels that are a good option. Now that we have all the gear we need to record a digital whiteboard, let's review how to set it up. First, connect all of your gear together. Then install the drawing tablet driver and follow the instructions. I have a video you can watch if you want some tips for learning how to use a drawing tablet. Next, install your art software and your screen recording application. You'll need to set up the recording software to capture the correct display. Record in MP4 format at 1920 by 1080 resolution or higher, and enable your camera and microphone. The last step is to set up your scene so that you're recording exactly what you want. You can even create multiple scenes for different points of view, different screens to capture, or different types of videos. Be sure to save backups of all of your layouts and presentations so that you can restore them if needed. That's it. You're now ready to press record. Your recorded videos can be accessed in the default save location or wherever you have selected. If at all possible, try to leave your recording gear set up permanently. That will make it easy to sit down and record without a lot of preparation. My recording setup only requires me to press a couple of buttons to launch my applications, and if I'm recording my face, I simply swing my camera into position. The lights are automated with a button as well. I used to stress out about making tutorials because I'd have to set up the lights, cameras, mic, and everything else each time I wanted to record. But now my process is really streamlined, and I feel more free to record. In the final section of this tutorial, I'll show you the process for setting up your presentation. In your art software, make a template to work with so your videos are consistent. Ideally, the size of your composition should be around the size of your final tutorial video. This is usually 1920 by 1080, but you can feel free to make it larger or smaller so that it fits optimally on the screen you're recording. You may need to go to the display options for your operating system and change the DPI scaling so that the UI you are recording is an optimal size. It shouldn't take up too much of your screen, but it also shouldn't be so small that you can't comfortably work in the application. And if you will be demonstrating with the UI in your video, it should be readable to viewers as well. It would be beneficial to improve the visibility of your mouse cursor if you'll be using it to point and gesture. There may be an option to highlight the cursor in your screen recording application, or you can purchase a third-party application that can do it. On Windows 10 and 11, you can change the color and size of your mouse cursor to make it easier to see. Avoid zooming into your presentation beyond 100%, as it will make that area of your screen recording blurry. Of course, you can make exceptions if necessary, but most of your footage should be at 100% zoom or less so that it remains crisp. It is possible to zoom in closer using your video editing software after the recording is finished. Fill the background or a new layer with a white or black background and lock the layer. Then make a layer or several layers above that for writing on. If you want to easily color your line art, you can make the topmost layer a multiply blend mode, and it will act like a highlighter marker. The best type of brush for whiteboards is a basic hard edge brush that has pen pressure linked to the size of the brush. Do not choose a brush with soft edges, opacity linked to pressure, or an ornate dab. Just keep it simple for the most legible writing possible. Then use the swatches panel to choose a writing color, and next, define the brush width. Don't make the line too thin, or it could become wavy and hard to read. And don't make your width too thick, because your writing will take up too much room. Keeping your settings consistent will help your videos look more professional. You can set up several brush size presets to make it easier to select the right size. You may want to create some custom color swatches as well. Choose contrasting colors that can be easily seen against your background. For example, yellow on white is difficult to read. Your digital whiteboard doesn't have to be white. It can be black or gray. I'd recommend keeping it neutral so the colors don't distract from the message too much. Optionally, you can add layers for graphics, slides, or text. Add this stuff in before you initiate the recording so that you can focus on completing your presentation with as few interruptions as possible. These image assets can be shown and hidden as needed by clicking on the eye icon. Labeling your layers is important so that you can quickly identify the layers. If you want your digital whiteboard to be full screen, you can either record only the canvas, or record everything and then crop the video, or cover content with the background color in your video editing application. You can clear writing from your layers by pressing Delete or Backspace. In Photoshop, this deletes the entire layer, so I need to select all first, then hide the selection with Ctrl-H, and then I can press Delete to clear the layer. Leave the selection active so that you can continue to delete the layer contents as needed. Some drawing tablet pens have erasers, but I wouldn't recommend wasting your viewers' time by making them watch you erase everything by hand. Now that your presentation is set up, you can record it. Once you're finished recording, edit the video, render it, and upload it. Then you'll have a tutorial that you can share for free or sell online. I hope you learned a lot about setting up your own digital whiteboard. If you did, be sure to subscribe to this channel for more useful tips for content creators like yourself. Thanks for watching and stay creative.